Hello, and welcome to the String Explorers Orientation. My name is Jennifer Petrie, and I will be your child's strings teacher this semester. The purpose of this class is to provide an avenue for students to explore playing a stringed instrument for one semester. This is to help them understand music in a hands-on way, and is also to give you and your student an idea of whether or not they would like to continue and be part of the orchestra. The overview of what we will be learning this semester. We will have 2 classes a week. The first one will be with me and the second one will be with your general music teacher. Left hand skills, right hand skills, whole body skills, they all need to be broken down so that we can have smaller actions. And I will be able to send you videos of those actions so you can help your child practice, but more on that later. The school provides the instruments, the chairs, the stools needed, folder, and instructions. Please bring your folder, your instrument, and a pencil to class each day. They need to come to class to the school twice a week. That's very important that they remember. Parents, please remind your child. The instruments can come home once the child has demonstrated that A, they can handle it safely, and B, they have a good enough foundation of their skills that they're not going to practice incorrectly and make things worse at home. Techniques. You have a set number of skills called techniques when you play an instrument, and we will be learning these in class. I will introduce each new technique in class, and then you should review it at home using the videos that I send. Once you're certain you're doing it correctly, practice it. That means taking a skill you can do well and then playing it over and over again. Some people say, well, if I can already do this, why do I need to practice it? That's like a basketball player saying, oh, I shot a basket. Done with that, what's the next thing that I need to do? Once you learn to shoot a basket, you do it over and over again, so you learn how to do it every time. Then you do it from different parts of the court. Then you do it when there's interference going on so that you can play the game well when it comes time. What this is not. This class is not orchestra. Your child at the end of the semester will not be able to play the Mozart Violin Concerto. This is a general overview, an understanding of how to play an instrument that's actually quite complicated to play. Unlike the piano, you can't just simply go and push a key and have a beautiful sound come out. It takes a while to learn how to get a good sound out of these instruments. And it's actually a really good life skills building to understand patience and layering in order to gain a new skill. Practicing. The philosophy of practice is for this class that you need to practice for about 5 to 10 minutes, 3 days a week. One of those days is going to be Friday. So the second class day of the week, we're actually going to be teaching your child how to practice. So part of that is we go through the practice log that I send home, and we go through it and we do it and we check it off right there in class. So one of those days is already taken care of, and that leaves 2 to do at home. Now you can definitely do more than 2, but 2 really is the minimum requirement for being able to build on the skills enough that each week we're making progress to a satisfactory amount. Students will receive a practice log in the first class of the week outlining their assignments. They'll need a parent signature to confirm that their recorded practice for the week is accurate. Practice logs and all other handouts can be found in your child's folder, and they are due in the first class for each week. The music teacher will be working through the practice log with the class on Fridays, and this counts as one of the practice times. Students who wish to practice more than 3 times a week are, of course, encouraged to do so. The purpose for a practice requirement is twofold. It is necessary for learning. It also shows you how dedicated your child is. If they choose to go on into the second semester, which is where only those students who choose to continue, who want to continue, are in the class, then you want to know that they're going to be practicing, that they're going to be using their time wisely. This sort of tests those waters for you. Practical practice details. Practice without the instrument at first, because the student has to earn their instrument. They have to show that they can control their body well enough that they can do the skills that they are then going to apply to their instrument. We will use things like pencils and dowels and egg cartons and toilet paper rolls in order to imitate some of the motions that we need to be learning so that when we get the instrument into our hands, we can do it correctly, and we're not going to be so excited about the instrument that posture just goes out the window. The best time to practice is the day that you have your class. So everything's still fresh in your mind. You go home and you go, oh yeah, I remember the teacher said this. The moment you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, your brain automatically jettisons about 40% of everything that you learn throughout the day. There's just not enough room in your brain for it all. So you want to make sure that your brain knows that you want to keep the strings stuff in there. So if you practice the day that you had your class, your brain is far more likely to keep that information in your head. Then the rest of the week, it'll be a lot easier to remember your practice. Choose your child's best focus time for practicing. This is something as a parent that you and your child can work on together and you can have a very valuable input for. Note, when you are practicing, your cello students, they will need a chair to sit on. So when you're seated, the hips should be slightly higher than the knees in the chair. For most third grade students or second grade students, that means the chair is going to have to be smaller than an average adult chair. You can, find something around the house that's about the right size and then go for that. We will provide those chairs for your child in the orchestra class. If you have a bass student, then what you want to do is take a look at when they're wearing jeans, where that back pocket comes down to this little point, and then right there, that's where the bass stool should be. The key to success is number one, parent involvement. I have found throughout my more than 30 years of teaching at this point that parent involvement is the one element that sets aside the students who succeed versus the students who struggle. It doesn't mean that if the parent is not as involved, your child is guaranteed to struggle. That's not what that means. It simply means that if the parent is involved, most of the time, that means that those students are going to be the ones that are learning, the most invested, the most engaged. Whatever the parent is focused on, the child is focused on. So I would encourage parent involvement in practicing. Compare your technique practice to the videos. So when you're practicing, I'll be sending a video home in every week in something called a weekly communique, or what we did in class this week. And at the bottom, there will be a list of videos that are helps for each of the techniques that we're learning. So if it's a bow hold on the pencil, I will be demonstrating a bow hold on the pencil and how to get there. So parents, if you could pop that video up and then the two of you could work together on the bow hold and you could say, do you see how Mrs. Petrie is doing this with her pinky? Let's see if you can do that with your pinky. Try to make it fun. We all enjoy things where we succeed and where they are enjoyable. So checking your posture. So that's really important for a parent. We have eyes that are in the front of our head. We cannot turn around and see how we're standing and what we're doing unless, like I am right now, you're standing in front of a phone that mirrors that back to you. But your parent can be your mirror. So the student stands and holds the instrument and the parent says, oh, do you notice your head's kind of forward like that? Can we get that up here? Oh, that's so much better. We cannot see ourselves. So a parent is vital with the technique and the posture. Tension is your child's worst enemy. If you can just remind your child to relax, just think of a sponge or a marshmallow. A marshmallow that is hard and crispy, no one wants, but a marshmallow that's soft and spongy, that's how your muscles should be when you play. Key to success number 2 is that practice should happen only once you have completely mastered whatever it is that you're doing for how to do it. So you're doing it well, setting a bow hold well, and then go ahead and do that 10 times. Don't set a bow hold poorly and then do that 10 times. To help you with this, I provide the videos. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, I am following a script. How will I know what to practice? The weekly class update coming through email is going to give you some videos that will be helpful. You'll have a practice log. It will tell you exactly what to do. Your child will also need an egg carton and a pencil at home to practice. We will have dowels and I will give those out to the students in the class. And I would very much like those dowels back at the end of the semester. So please don't play fetch with your dog and don't break it in a sword fight. Note number 2, dowels. Okay, how can I help my child learn the most from this class? Weekly updates, parent involvement, interest, have your child explain to you what they learned, ask your child to demonstrate. Maybe they could do a little recital. Even a 5-second recital is still really cool when dad comes home from work or when you're at the dinner table. Support, help your child practice, and wisdom, help your child determine whether or not this is something that they want to pursue after this semester of String Explorers is over. Grades. Just like anything else, we have a system of grades in this class. So we have a chart on the wall, and when students practice, they get to check off the parts, just how many days they practiced, and when they reach the end of that, they get to have a prize. We have skills that we're learning, and when a student has mastered a skill, they get to check off that part of the chart. The skills really determine when we're ready to move on to the next step. So for instance, for the bow hold, we start out with just a simple circle, then we go to a pencil, and then we go to holding a dowel and doing all these exercises, getting ready for the real bow, and then we hold the real bow. And once we've gotten comfortable with the real bow and we're safe with the real bow, then we use that on the instruments. So these check sheets really show progress toward goals that we have. One of them being using the real bow, another one being able to use the left hand, another one being able to bring the instrument home. Students are always welcome to share what they've been learning. Some of them are actually already taking private lessons, so they might have a little bit more to share. But anybody who has something to share, if we have some class time left at the end, we can save a couple of minutes for people sharing with each other. If we don't have class time left, then that's not going to be possible. So it just depends on how things go for the day. Some detail about the instruments. We don't have enough instruments for everybody to play the violin. We have a smattering of violins, violas, and cellos and basses. So students have chosen their instruments, and I'm doing my best to make sure that each student can have their first choice, but if we don't have enough, then I will choose a couple second choices. The instruments also might not be 100% perfect for the size of the child. You might find that when you rent your instrument, you'll actually be renting a slightly different size than the one that we have at school. Again, we're working with what we have. Care for the instrument. When it is time for your child to bring the instrument home, I will be sending out a kind of a commitment form for you and your child to sign that says, I will take very good care of this instrument as it is coming back and forth. Violins and violas, if you have a crowded bus, you might be asked to put that violin or viola on your lap. Likewise with cellos, as long as it will fit on your lap and the child is willing to put the cello on the lap, then that is the bus solution for if there's a crowded bus. If there's not and there's space, you can just put it in the seat next to you. You should never leave your instrument in a car because the windows magnify the sun, and when the instrument heats up, the glue actually is built, it's made to melt, and so the instrument can kind of fall apart into pieces, or at the very least go very out of tune. It was a little side note there. If you have a bass, you cannot go on the bus. You must transport that back and forth directly. I'm in school at various times throughout the week, so if you have something go wrong with your instrument, you need me to fix it really quickly, you don't have to wait for your next class. You can just bring it to me and I can get it fixed. So taking the instrument home, it might be a while before your child is ready to bring the instrument home. They have an instrument at school. It's a particular number. It's assigned just to them. And when they are ready, and they have shown readiness by checking off their sheets, then they can bring it home, and that will be the instrument that they bring home and carry back and forth. They have to not forget it though. So they also have folders, and practicing bringing those folders back and forth is getting them ready for bringing the instruments back and forth. What's next after this class? So we will have a final performance at the end of December, and it'll be a performance just for parents. It's not going to be on the Christmas concert. And at that performance, we will be able to talk about, are you ready to take the next step? Or was this just a really nice class and an opportunity for you to learn this music? So if it is something that you would like to continue into the next semester, that next semester class will be called Beginning Strings. And it is a continuation of what we started at String Explorers, basically setting the foundation for everything that we're doing and learning how to play our instruments well. We'll start playing some songs toward the end of the year, and that will get us ready for Beginning Orchestra, which is the very first orchestra, which will be at the beginning of the following year. Students who would like to do Beginning Strings should get a private teacher, and they should also rent their own instrument. I highly recommend J.R. Judd Violins. They're the store in this area that I do not have to send instruments back to get fixed to nearly as often. They will deliver directly to your school, so you don't ever have to go to the store. And when your child changes a different size, they don't charge you anything extra, and everything that you spend on renting actually gets kind of set aside for you because it is a rent-to-own program. So when you have paid off the instrument, it becomes yours. So if you are interested in continuing to beginning strings, let me know. 2 weeks before the end of the class is probably a really good idea. You want to give yourself time to find a private teacher, and you want to give yourself time to get the instrument rented. And then we will start at the beginning of the next year, so like after Christmas break. All right, I am available at any time for questions you may have. Just email me and I'm very happy to answer them. I look forward to working with you this semester.